The winners of next decade won't be the one with most advanced AI. That's my guest told a room of VCs a few weeks ago, and it's basically the thesis of everything we are about to get into. Let's get into it. My guest today is Preeti. Tell our listeners more about you.
I've been in the Valley for about 25 years. I started my career as an engineer in large companies like Cisco and later moved into product management and then moved into marketing. So the last 15 years, I've been in marketing roles across startups and big companies. Got to experience a couple of IPOs with Nutanix and Freshworks and a PE exit. So it's been a fantastic journey of learning and also growing. So I look forward to share my thoughts.
Preeti, tell us where is the moment you saw demoed and shipped getting sold as same thing in with AI?
Freshworks. I found that with SaaS, it is certainly much more easier to actually deliver what you are promising the customer. The development cycles are much more effective than if you have like a long development cycle in a hardware or a traditional software company. So that's where I've seen like the sort of simplicity and intuitiveness. I got to work with really good product managers. So that's where I saw that. So I think AI, it's right now has become like a buzzword. If you're not an AI company, there is a much less chance of getting funded. And that is the reality right now. And so what vendors need to do is basically make sure that they are ensuring that the customers' promises are met and the customers' problems are understood when they are delivering AI solutions.
And what are some of the things you check in those claims with AI?
Yeah, a couple of things I certainly check. One is the solution providing data privacy and data security. With AI solutions, there needs to be the ability for customers to choose what data gets shared, especially with LLMs and other models that you do not want your private data to get shared with. So having that ability to protect the company data and personal data is very important, I believe. And the second thing is, I know this is a problem that has been to a large extent reduced, but the hallucinations that we've heard of the last 3-4 years with AI, to be able to better address that as a solution so that you don't give wrong answers and ideas to the customers.
Do you see those hallucinations improving over course of the new models which are coming faster? And how is market responding to it?
Certainly, I think we have seen that all the different players, especially the frontier ones, right, like OpenAI or Anthropic, they are constantly improving their models. And so people are certainly navigating towards those models, which hallucinations have reduced. And also with respect to some models doing better, like for example, we know Nano Banana does well for image and, and different, like even certain, so solutions do better for research. So all the different LLM solutions seem to have their own strengths.
And when founders tell you we shipped AI, what is your follow up to know what is the truth?
First, I would ask, like, what problem are you trying to solve? And how are you solving it most effectively for the customer? And the AI is, if it's part of the solution, then how is that making it better rather than, how we have always done it? So that is how I approach.
AI making things better. How do you see things being differentiated between B2B versus B2C players?
Yeah, I think when I say AI making things better, I think as a company, I see that many big companies as well as smaller companies have brought in efficiencies, right? We moved from the aspect of what, like we defined, like in, for example, in the past, when I had to define like AI capabilities, we had capabilities that allowed people to use like the chat functionality for self-service. So that was an efficiency that we got. And then we also got the co-pilot or the ability to automate some things that humans don't want to do. And, and so, and also we got additional capabilities now that are beyond the Copilot with Agentic, right? With Agentic AI. So we've certainly moved from that whole sequence. With respect to B2B versus B2C, I think with B2B, you tend to take a lot of effort with respect to how do agentic systems work with each other to be able to deliver better B2B experiences. Say, for example, a customer service agent needs to talk to, like, say, a sales agent and a supply chain agent to then solve a customer problem, for example, right? So how are those communications going on? With a B2C, there's a lot of emphasis on the end customer communications. How do you interact, like in that layer of connecting directly with a customer, as well as how do you make that interaction secure? With B2B systems, the security is the responsibility of the IT and the CISO departments, versus with the individual customer, they need to make sure that they are protected from B2C perspective.
A panel discussion, you mentioned 2026 is the adoption era, not experimentation. What are buyers asking now that they were not asking a year ago?
Yeah, I think a lot has changed since the adoption. Now we are going into production, and that is also turning a lot of other challenges. I know your listeners certainly are familiar with Mythos, the whole thing that was raised by Anthropic. And recently we had some of the data breaches that came up with OpenAI and Hugging Face and all of those that was reported. So now with production systems, there is that whole aspect of reliability, the trust, the compliance. I go back to security. You must have heard me say security like 4 or 5 times today. So that combination becomes very important. I had some guests in my 10x growth events in the past that for enterprise trust, reliability, and compliance. And they were talking about how sometimes some of these customer service bots could potentially give free refunds because they are, like, just programmed in a certain way. And then in the end, you're just, giving free money away, and you might not realize it until it's too late. So things like that become a challenge when it becomes from adoption to production. So how do you design your architect your AI systems so that you can actually be ahead of such issues is the important.
As we are in the production phase in 2026, what do you see future looks like? Where do we see from production going?
I am hearing there is a few schools of thought. One set of folks really believe that with AI, we will be able to solve problems that humans could not solve before. Right? We saw that right from early on when Watson, like one of the earliest AI implementations, they were able to, like, make sure that they understood all the different aspects of how intelligence works. And now we are able to detect some of the diseases that are not visible to a human eye, and they're able to predict, like AI is able to predict some of the things that could potentially happen by analyzing data, be it with respect to hurricanes or weather patterns and things like that. So I think with the implementation of AI, we can certainly solve some of the problems we were not able to solve. And at the same time, having guardrails for the AI systems, especially with respect to not going beyond what is safe, is also important.
You have also talked about build versus buy when a company is actually trying to ship agentic workflows, not just pilot one. Where do you land?
Yeah. So I think when you are working with multiple adjacencies, like for example, right, we in the past, and even like right now at Cisco, we have multiple different businesses that work with each other. We have the traditional bread and butter with networking, we have security, we have the collaboration, and then we have the IoT, which is where I am currently at. We have all these different businesses working together. And so when there are things that are complementary to the current capabilities, I would suggest to go with build aspects. But then if there are adjacencies that we want to expand into, but in-house is not as fast as acquiring a company, then I would suggest to go for buy at that point.
And you have also done extensive research with ROI, TCO analysis in your background. When speed and cost creates trade off with agentic launch, how do you personally decide which one takes a win?
Yeah. Yeah, I have featured a book called Blitzscaling in my podcast. It was a book co-authored by Reid Hoffman and Chris Ye. Chris Ye came on my podcast. It's one of a really good business books that I've read. And there they talk about the aspect of being the fastest to the market, like, and if possible, the first. But even if it's not the first, at least being the fastest was a big strategy that helped many companies, like, say, Uber or Airbnb or LinkedIn, to then gain that traction in the market. So, in those cases where speed was important, there was existing funding, there was money that was already in place for them to then go and what you call blitzscale across different areas that they wanted to. And thereby they were able to get a large amount of customer mind share compared to their competitors. And that helped them get the winning advantage because in their case, there was no differentiation with what like they were offering, right? Anybody else could build a similar aspect. And so for there, the speed was a very important. That's the only way they can beat and grow beyond the competition. So that's where the speed comes. However, if you were designing a system that helps healthcare, if you have to have the right approvals, if it has to be built in a way by which cost, not just in monetary, but even in the case of delivering quality care for human lives. If that is the cost, then yes, we need to more prioritize the cost than speed. You have to do it the right way, taking the time it's needed to build the solution. And that is the approach that will be correct in that situation.
Yeah, healthcare is a complicated in a segment where a lot of personal information is present and it has to be done right from different angle, like you said. And that's where we can't trade off just going fast. We have to make sure we are optimizing and doing the right thing with personal data and all the security and privacy.
Yeah, that's right.
I want to switch gears and talk about marketing usually functions. Marketing's usually the function that says AI powered first. Where is your own line on what you're willing to claim?
Yeah. 5 years ago, when I started my podcast, I decided to call it 10x growth strategies. And there's a reason for that. Over the past 15 years, I've had the good fortune to build several businesses from like 30 million to 300 million or 70 million to 350 million and so on. So I really love growing businesses and growing people. And that is what is I call as my differentiation. While being AI powered, can be a good tagline, but can you power the AI to grow 10x, grow the business 10x? So that only some companies have figured out. So that is what I think is my advantage.
Zoom out for a second. How is agentic AI actually reshaping marketing function itself? We are beyond AI tools now.
Yeah, I got a chance to attend a CMO roundtable last week, and we had a lot of good speakers and conversations. And I think while AI tools in marketing primarily have helped a lot in content creation. Like there is that whole aspect that one person could build the same content like that five people could build using AI tools. So that efficiency has certainly come in. There is also some further along, movement in terms of campaigns being built using AI, using tools to automate out like outreach or getting to customers. So all that has been possible. There have been some areas where AI has not worked out. I think certainly the SDR function has not been like removed because of AI. Maybe it's been optimized wherein you can do the same with two SDRs versus 20 in the past. That has happened. But that is to the extent currently what I believe is I see is happening. And from an agentic perspective, what it would be interesting to see is how can actually maybe they talk about a single person unicorn companies. In the future, can then marketing be completely automated? So someone could decide to start a company and they could just automatically get the support from an agentic AI marketing system that could then help them grow the business. That would be an interesting time.
Yeah. I've seen like marketing agents calling marketing call. I still like that personal human touch instead of agentic calls. I'm curious, what are you seeing in the field at this point of time?
Yeah. I mean, I personally, like, I think I've seen some demos of even video calls from agentic AI systems that seemed pretty human like. I think maybe that is all good for, as of now, it's good for like smaller business purchases. But when it comes to B2B, which is where I sit, a lot of happens still with relationships and the human connection.
And how is agentic marketing playing out differently in those B2C or trusted story basically say?
With B2C, we need to make sure the customer data is protected.
You started as an engineer for builders shipping agentic AI right now. What do you wish they understand about marketing before they start building right now?
Technical founders tend to think that you build a product and it will sell itself. They don't see the value of go to market. They don't see the value of how you need to understand the customer problem. So rather than going product first, I say work with marketing to understand the problem first so that you can, as a team together, be successful in delivering customer value.
Well said. I saw this Y Combinator video where it was said that these days folks are using Figma files or just napkin drawings to tell their idea and pitch before even building the product because that's getting that earlier version of marketing ahead and getting the customer buying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that is something I've heard even from Steve, Four Steps to Epiphany, which is a book that I recommend to all founders, where he talks about before even you write a line of code, you have to call some 100 people to run your idea by them to see if they will buy what you're building. So, absolutely, that makes perfect sense.
In the B2B, it's difficult though, right? Calling 100 people who understand your business and are ready to like buy in and come along the ride.
Yeah, I think Airbnb is a good example, but I think you're right. That is a B2C example. In some cases, maybe it's even B2B2C cases also that could happen. But it's a worthwhile thing to mention. Airbnb went and to one particular customer base that were growing for them, like in New York area, and they really understood the customer, the initial customers, before they could even grow further. So that is what I'm talking about, right? To understand, even if it is like 10 customers, to really understand their use case, to really make sure that their problems are solved before you start thinking big and going broader.
The next decade winners won't be companies with most advanced AI. So who wins now?
I think the context that I had shared that was to talk about that AI alone is not going to help us win because I'm a big believer of building relationships, developing human capital, human potential. So I think companies with the most advanced AI still have to understand what resonates with their customers and build that human connection. So that is important. I am a personally
In this era, how do we build that human connection? What is the secret sauce which works for you in building and maintaining those connections? Somebody who is starting from fresh or starting new, building that community, growing. Any advice like how to build that network, build the connection?
Yeah, I want to touch upon a couple of things that I typically share. One is like I was talking about that I'm a big practitioner of meditation. I actually learn a lot from the Art of Living Foundation and Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar. And he talks about the inner connection. How strong is our connection with ourselves? That determines how much we feel connected to the rest of the world. So I would say that's to invest in that, like having that connection within, like how are we to ourselves? Are we actually truly valuing what we bring? Are we being too critical of ourselves? Are we being loving to ourselves? Those are some things I always constantly ask people to think about. And secondly, I have this 3S formula for success. The first S is self care, right? Be it with respect to eating good food, doing the right exercise, meditating, getting the right amount of sleep, all of that, having that self care. That is the first S. The second is self awareness, knowing your strengths on opportunities for growth and being open about it, right? Being transparent to yourself and in the right places, also sharing that so that you can get help where needed. And then third is seeking out help, support, seeking out mentors, whatever that you need to be successful. So that is my 3S advice or formula for success that I would like to share. I would say believe in yourself. I think that is the first step. And this is a great time to explore building something of your own. I think you built this podcast, and I have done the same with the podcast and the community. So I would challenge anybody who's listening to explore what is it that you can build and give to the world.
Thank you, Preeti. It was a pleasure having you and learning more about what marketing needs are, how to build agentic AI, and 3S to really build a successful human being which can create a better future. Thank you.
Thank you, Lena, for having me. It was a pleasure to be here.
Three things I'm taking away from this conversation. One, next decade won't be the ones with the most advanced AI. They will be the one who build real human connections with their customers. Two, we are in production era now, not the pilot. That shifts the question from does it work to can I trust it? An ungoverned agent can quietly cost you real money before anyone else notices. 3. Don't lead with AI powered. Lead with the problem. Understand 10 customers deeply before you try to scale to 1,000. If this was useful, subscribe for more conversations on where human judgment meets AI. Until next time, stay curious, keep building, and bring someone along for the ride.